So my name's Kenya Leitch, and I just ended my sophomore year, so I'm going into my junior season. And I run cross country, and then in track, I run the 3200, 4x8, 800, and mile.
Oh, you're fully loaded.
You
Yeah.
you you loving the distance. So how did you get into, how did you find your niche in cross country and then the 4x8 3200?
Yeah, so I kind of first started my running career. My parents have always been like runners, so I've always been surrounded by that. So I think my very first race was when I was really young. I don't remember how old I was, but it may have been like around kindergarten or maybe even in preschool, but it was just a little short race. And then in elementary school, I kind of just ran every once in a while. It wasn't like an everyday thing, just kind of whenever I wanted to, and I did road races here and there with my dad. And then in middle school, sixth grade was my first cross country season, and I was just kind of doing it for fun, kind of just like trying out, see how I liked it. And then kind of after the season, I was going to bed and my parents were in my room and they were asking me how I liked my progress and how I liked where I was at. And I liked seeing how all my other friends and teammates were getting trophies and all these ribbons. And so I told them that I wanted to win trophies. And so my dad's like, okay, it's going to be a lot of work, but we'll get you there. And so kind of ever since then, I've been really working hard at it and been more dedicated to my sport than I was on my sixth grade cross country season. And I was able to see a lot of progress from the cross country season to even the track season. So I've just been able to really love the sport since then.
I'd say so. When I'm like your top five in the state in the 3200,
Yeah.
and you're only a sophomore.
Yep.
That's impressive because the people in
Thanks.
front of you are like they're hardcore people. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they're the real deal, like New Balance Nationals type people.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, did you go to New Balance?
Yes, I did. I ran the 5K and mile.
Okay. How did that go?
Yeah. Not as well as I planned. 5K didn't go very well, but it was okay. Kind of just moved on from that. I just learned some experiences, but it was still really fun. I liked racing all those girls. And then I think I ran a 17:14 in the 5K. And then in the mile, I ran a 4:59, which is for the full mile. So I think that converts to 4:57, 1600.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So to say you just did decent and you're a sophomore making it to New Balance, like we got to give you a hand clap for that because that's
Thanks.
still a very big achievement. So congratulations on making it and getting that experience, which I'm sure is going to get you even more confident with your training and with
Mhm.
the prep for cross country, which I'm sure you're probably training already. I know our cross country coach at North Central already has the girls out there doing
Mhm.
workouts. So no, great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, how well, I mean, I would say, especially being at Penn, that's a historic venue. And so
Hmm.
to be able to run there this early, I think that's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
and you should don't take it lightly,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you and the fact that you're a sophomore and did that. Because I know a lot of people who are still not there, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So being that you're on the distance side of things, who's like your biggest inspiration?
Yeah, I think my parents are probably the biggest inspiration because they've always been around me and influenced me in that sport and kind of like taught me like the important things of the sport and how what it's like to become a good athlete. And my dad's always provided a lot of advice to me, which helped me learn a lot of things in the sport. And I've been able to take those things and take them into the sport and also like use them in my day-to-day life. And I think they've influenced me and I've been able to see like hear from my dad's experiences when he ran in high school and college and just seeing what the things he got to experience and just really motivates me and inspires me to be something like that.
Great. One thing we don't have to ask is how involved are your parents? So I do want to take a moment for you to give a shout out to your parents who saw some amazing potential in you and said, hey, do you like this? And it's going to be some hard work if you do and you want to win trophies. So please share their names with us.
Yeah, so my dad's name is Kelly Leach, and then my mom's name is Marcy Leach.
Thank you to the parental. Shout out to them. So you talked about going to New Balance, and as Coach Jay said, you are in the top five, right? That's a big deal when you
Mhm.
were, and I won't say just sophomore, but you're a sophomore. So in that space, how have you prepared for competition? Like, how do you mentally prepare for those big races and those big meets?
Yeah, so I'd say, well, I'll talk with my coaches, kind of just seeing what the race is, how the race is going to play out. We also like just seeing who's around, like in the competition, and how we want to approach the race. I feel like this year I've really focused on like my last mile or my last lap of a race, because that's where like my weekend is. I struggle with the speed part of things, so really we've focused this year on like the last lap, and we'll take things into either 100 marks or 200 marks, knowing when to go. So like we may start like we have 400 to go, we may start picking it up a bit with that last lap to go, and then we'll like approach the 300, and we just still keep picking it up, and then like 200 to go is you're pretty much all out sprint, and then that last 100 is everything you got. So I feel like that's kind of how I go into a big race, just kind of knowing who's around in the race and how I want to finish out my race.
So, one thing I know your coaches are probably going to listen to this. So one small thing when you come out of cross season, right, out of cross
Mhm.
country, just start speed work stuff. I know it's like
Yeah.
counterintuitive. They're like, no, we have to save that for the end. No, if you start the speed work stuff early, you already have a base to carry it over.
Hmm.
That's my just my 2 cents. They're probably like, whatever, he's not a distance coach. But I've done it for years with 800 runners and
Uh-huh.
milers. So it's an idea.
Yeah.
Try something new. Never know, right? How do you balance your athletic commitments with your athletic stuff? Because you pretty much go all year round. I know it's like track and you run through and then you're right in the cross and then it just cycles back through.
Yeah, so that is very the most like hardest thing to balance is definitely academics and sports. So what I try to do is just kind of prioritize the most important things. So after I get home from school, just making sure I'm getting all my work done, and so I'm ready for the next day, and I have it all done when I wake up the next morning, just having a fresh start and a fresh mind going into the next day. When I get out of school, I can get to bed on time, making sure I'm taking care of my body when I'm at practice and outside of practice as well.
Speaking of taking care of your body, what do you do specifically? Because you put on
Um,
a lot of miles, so I'm
yeah.
curious.
Yeah, so like distance running, well, running in general, it's very important to keep your body healthy and safe because injury, like you're walking a straight line of having injuries. So to keep making sure that my body's always healthy and trying to stay injury prevented, our team will take ice baths, especially after a really hard workout, just to help recover our bodies. And then I'll also do some strength training in the weight room after a hard workout because I'm already tearing up my body anyways. So just help get in that strength training. And then at home, I will also do some hip mobility and some core. And for the hip, I use a resistance band, and then just helps with my hips. And we also do some stuff with my ankles.
What are you doing on the nutrition side? How does nutrition play a role in you as an athlete?
Yeah, so nutrition is very important because you want to make sure you're getting a lot of fuel in your body because you're always active while like when running, especially when it gets to the summertime, it gets really hot, so you got to make sure you're fueling your body. So I'll make sure to eat a really good breakfast, and sometimes if I have the workout in the morning, I'll eat a really good meal after my workout as well, and then making sure I'm having a good lunch before maybe if I have an afternoon practice, and also making sure I'm getting enough water because water is very important. You need to be able to stay hydrated, especially during the hot summer. And then also making sure I'm eating a really good dinner. And then for like my races, and you always want to make sure you're fueled for your race. You don't want to be hungry during your race, because that can really affect how you do. So I'll make sure I have some. I started taking caffeine gummies, just making sure I'm staying energized before my race, and then also just having some snacks too as well before I race.
I'm sure Coach Jay has some suggestions on stuff to fuel your energy
Yeah,
other than
yeah,
caffeine.
though I mean the caffeine gummies, that's a bit that's a new one on me. I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah,
But I do like energy balls though. Like
yeah,
the little like date balls that you can make at
uh-huh,
home. Those are great for energy,
yeah.
snack wise, keeping you up. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's just another idea. Um, when it comes to success in track and field, I know cross is maybe a little different. How do you view it? Like, what is that for you? What equals success for you?
Yeah, so I think success is not always how I perform. I think it's just also how like the journey is going throughout the whole entire season. You can't always dwell on how you perform, because that's not always going to go your way. You're always going to have those bad performances, but you're also going to have some good performances. So I just think like the process and throughout the training, how I view like my success.
Even taking the good and the bad and being able to learn from it. So earlier you talked about how you prepare for competition, and in that you talked about how you and your coach kind of look at who's going to be in the race and things of that nature. So how do you view your competitors when you know, okay, this person's going to be in the race or that person's going to?
Yeah, so I think definitely on the distance side that all of us are very good friends. We all know each other when we go to meets, and there's always someone you're gonna know there. Because I feel like our distance community is so close, and everyone's such good friends. But I think everyone could agree when we toe the line, we're not friends anymore because we're all fighting for the best spot we can get. And but when at the end of the race, we're all congratulating each other, telling each other good luck, and we're best friends again. So I think it's such a great running community, and I think that makes like running even more fun because you will always have someone there to talk to.
I have a follow up, just curious, right? Because you talk about, you think you all can agree that when you come to the line, you're no longer friends. Would you say you have like an alter ego? Because again, talking to you, it's like, oh, you're just so sweet. But clearly you have some type of, you know, fight in you, right? To be as good as you are. So would you say you have like an alter ego of any sort when you get on the line?
Yeah, I say definitely when the gun goes off. I have a very competitive nature, and I love to be competitive. So I think, yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Hmm. Now you've seen running in this state in particular. You've seen a lot of good athletes coming and going. What do you think is the separator from the good athletes from the great athletes?
Yeah, so I think great athletes are definitely self-disciplined and driven. They're always working really hard inside practice and always doing the extra outside of practice, which would be like making sure they're always staying healthy, they're getting enough nutrition to their body, enough hydration, and also like enough sleep, and just doing all the extra like little things, I think makes them great athletes because those things will eventually have significant impact on your running.
What advice would you give someone who's just starting out in the sport?
Yeah, I definitely say trust the process because like you can't really dwell on like your races so much because you're like I said, you're always gonna have those bad races, you're always gonna have those good races. So even when times are tough and you may not want to do it at the time and you're just kind of frustrated where you're at, just like keep the grind on and keep pushing forward because if you trust the process and you take the each of the step of the way, you're eventually like the process is eventually going to take you to great and amazing places.
Now, so far in your career, I know you're trusting the process, you're going through the journey. Have you had any major obstacles that have come or setbacks along this journey thus far?
Yeah, so actually, this year I got really sick. I had the stomach bug, and so it was on spring break, and I got it over spring break, and we were in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and so I got the stomach bug there, and it was after one of my workouts, and it was leading up to the Flashes Showcase, which is the a 1 mile race, and people from all over Indiana compete there. And so I was getting ready for that race, and right before I got the stomach bug, and so we were just kind of waiting out to see what happened. The first night it was really bad, and so just see if how running would go. And throughout that week, I wasn't really getting any better, and which was really hard for me because I really wanted to run that race, and so it was a struggle for me just kind of to push through that. And I eventually did not run that race because I was still not feeling great, and that was really hard for me because I really wanted to run that race, and my training was going really well at the time, so I thought I was gonna be able to run a really fast time. So that was really frustrating because I wasn't able to do that, but just knowing that I was just thankful it would happen at that time and not later this season, and just kind of looking on the positive side, knowing that it could have happened at a way worse time. And thankfully, it was just like a stomach bug and not an injury that could have taken out my whole season.
What would you say makes you a great teammate?
As a teammate, I make sure that like I'm always supportive of my teammates and I'm always motivating and encouraging my teammates because it's great to have a team culture because just having a great team culture makes you a better team and you bond so much. I always encourage and provide advice to my teammates whenever someone's struggling with something or going through a hard time or maybe even injury. I always just kind of sit down and talk with them.
Something else I wanted to ask is like you in particular, you're pretty young in the sport. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
you've just finished up your sophomore season. Now, everybody is like, everybody works hard, and that's expected. Like, well, what is it that sets you apart?
Yeah, I think for me, like I'm always working hard in practice, which is like pretty much everyone's like goal is work hard in practice. But I think I'm also doing the things outside of practice, which is like the making sure I eat enough food, getting enough water, but also making sure I get enough sleep. I'm very disciplined to go to sleep at 9 o'clock every night.
Oh, I
So
love
so I think really that and just like kind of eliminating the things that may affect my running.
Mhm, mhm.
that. Sleep is super important. Like a lot of
Yes.
people miss that because if you go to sleep like before 10 o'clock, and any hours before 10 o'clock is like a cheat code for helping your body recover.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do more work if you recover better. So
Yeah.
I like that. I'm glad
Thanks.
you're on top of that early on in the game. If we had to ask your
Yeah.
teammates or your coaches, what one word would describe you best, what would it be?
Very positive and encouraging. And I think they say this because even when like the bad things come my way, I always kind of look on the positive side of things, knowing that you can always look on the positive side and always going to be a great outcome. And I think on the encouraging side, I'm always making sure I'm encouraging my teammates, keeping them positive, and knowing that they have great things ahead of them, and just like keep motivating them during the workouts and
So if our viewers wanted to follow you on any social media platforms, where could they follow you at?
yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Kenya Leitch.
Well, Kenya, we are wishing you, excuse me, the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to some exciting things that you're going to do this season for sure.
Yes, thank you for having me.